In this very special episode, we delve into the depths of hell and back with the spirit of vengeance himself, Marvel Legends Ghost Rider, based off of the Danny Ketch Ghost Rider from the 90s. We'll take a look at the Ghost Rider and his unholy motorcycle, and I'll give you my impressions of my favorite Marvel superhero, or anti-hero in this case, brought to life in the form of this Marvel Legends figure. I'll even show you how this figure can work with your G.I. Joe classified figures, and throw in a few shots of some bonus Ghost Rider collectibles I had from the 90s. All this and more inside. Let's go. So I'm sure you're all wondering, why is Heroic Nonsense reviewing a Marvel Legends figure when he typically sticks to G.I. Joe and Transformers? Well, yes, that's true, but every once in a while something so special comes along that I just can't resist. And it just so happens that Ghost Rider is my #1 comic book character ever. I don't know what attracted me to this character so much back in the day. Maybe it was the incredible design, maybe it was my background in metal, maybe it was a combination of a bunch of things. But when I saw this comic book on a stand in a local corner store, I just knew I had to get it. I've been a loyal fan ever since, specifically of this iteration of Ghost Rider, so I can confidently say I had to have this figure when they announced its release. And for a moment, I almost missed the chance of getting him. If you're new to Ghost Rider or have a passing interest, then stick around for this review because I think you may be surprised about just how much you might like this set. And if you're a longtime fan of the Danny Ketch Ghost Rider or Marvel Legends figures, this is a collectible for you. I don't know if we'll ever get another version of this specific character in toy form or any other related character. Vengeance, I'm looking at you. So my personal opinion is that this is a must-have for any collection. This is Ghost Rider, the spirit of vengeance from the 90s who possessed the body of Danny Ketch for the first time when Danny stumbled across a bike bearing a mystical sigil and placed his hand on it. What emerged was this skeletal being with a flaming skull and one of the coolest and most iconic motorcycles ever to grace the pages of Marvel Comics. This figure perfectly captures each element of the original design, from the Ghost Rider's black leather jacket with all the chains and spikes, to the bike's high-tech futuristic 90s look with its flaming tires. Every element that you can recall from the original 90s comic is reproduced in phenomenal detail, including that unmistakably awesome shield-like skull design on the front of the bike. This Ghost Rider is a must-have. The Marvel Legends set comes with a fair number of accessories which are all necessary additions, including Ghost Rider's chain, which is partially lit up with some fire detail, 2 additional hands, one open and one closed into fist, which can replace the standard hands used for holding onto the bike's handlebars, and 3 fire decos, 2 of which can be used on the wheels of the motorcycle to give it that flaming look, and one which is used to lift the bike up onto its back wheel. Because the tires are also molded with flame-like tires that do in fact roll, you can create a very cool display of Ghost Rider popping a wheelie while leaving a trail of fire behind him. Of course, if you have some extra flames or fire effects hanging around like I do here from our G.I. Joe Classified collection, you can surround the Ghost Rider in even more fire to evoke that hellfire feel to your displays. You can also see here how great the figure looks with all of those details from the comic lovingly replicated, especially those endless spikes and the Ghost Rider's black leather jacket and dark gray pants. Lots of ways for him to wield his chain, but I prefer this look with the chain arcing around his back as he prepares to launch it at some deserving victim. Completely adds to the Ghost Rider's look, as does the separately molded chain around his shiny black jacket, which gives his look even further dimension. The Ghost Rider's most iconic look is of course his flaming skull, which captures really well the menacing gaze of the Ghost Rider as he casts his penance stare from the highly detailed eyes hidden beneath the sockets, with flames emerging from all sides of his head and neck. Overall, a 10 out of 10 for me, even though the joints, as I understand from others, may be a little loose in some versions. Mine, however, display really well in multiple poses. Especially as displayed in one of my favorite poses of the Ghost Rider on his knees screaming to the heavens in torment, begging for a release from his pain that he'll never receive. I have here some very cool display ideas using his multiple hands, and starting with the Ghost Rider having just touched the sigil on his motorcycle gas tank. Using his open hand, you really can recreate that realistic look of having him reach for it. The small detail of adding this perfect replica of the sigil just makes this figure all the more worthwhile, and is a really nice touch, which of course could not have been left out. Here I'm showcasing him with his closed fist, the least interesting and useful of the bunch, but still a nice to have. A cool idea here that I thought of, I took the back tire flame accessory which has a hole in the middle and placed Ghost Rider in the center, giving him that look of having just emerged from or walking through fire. I actually really love the way this looks and the ability to use this accessory in multiple ways. You can also see the second way I like to pose him with his chain, this time with it coming around his front chest. Now let's take a closer look at the bike itself. As it does come with 2 rolling wheels, it can totally be used for play or, if you like, that rounded look without all the chaotic flames. However, I prefer to display it this way, and I think the designers did an incredible job on creating this fire trail look, which is straight out of the comic books. Easy to add on as well, since all you have to do is place the wheels in the holes at the center of the flames. From any angle, it really does look great, and I really dig that the devs thought of both the playability factor as well as the display factor. I can't believe how well the skull shield came out, even going so far as to have scrapes and cuts molded into the design, giving it a weathered and beaten look up against that semi-matte black finish. I'm also really impressed at how this bike was able to capture the futuristic sleekness from every angle, including the front with the gunmetal gray wheel mounts imprisoning the flaming tire in place. A better look at the sigil here with some bright yellow paint that makes this pop up against a mostly black bike. Lots of detail as well on the bike's instruments and handles, as well as some nice molding throughout the frame. Even the back of the bike looks amazing. You can really see here the details in the wheel itself, which have flames etched into the rubber and is also locked in place by those same gunmetal gray wheel mounts. Those of you in the know are aware that the bike can be summoned on its own, and like a metallized steed, it raises into the air at the beckoning of its master with his raised hand facing to the sky this time. Another added detail which is totally up to your preference is the ability to move the footrest from this position to this position, this latter one being the one I prefer. Easy to remove by just pulling it off and placing it in the other slot located on the undercarriage of the bike. And of course, if you want to display the bike without the flame accessories, you can easily do that as well, though it can only place leaning to a side. You can also remove the shield if you really wanted to. As much as I'd love to have a Marvel Legends collection, it's just not doable with all the other collectibles we have, at least for the moment. So let's do something I'm sure most reviewers haven't done, compare Marvel Legends Ghost Rider to a ton of G.I. Joe classified figures and vehicles, starting with the G.I. Joe classified Ram, which scales perfectly. You can even add the flames, let's say if the bike was driving through some lit gasoline. Figure-wise, Marvel Legends Ghost Rider also perfectly scales, here placing him next to some Cobra Red Ninja, which is actually appropriate if you remember some of the storylines from the original comic, which I'll prove out a bit more shortly. I didn't care much for the Cobra Island Baroness's motorcycle at first, but I think it actually looks pretty good with the Red Ninja, and kinda cool next to the Ghost Rider's bike. Minus the small Cobra symbol, this bike can be used with any 6-inch scale it seems, including Marvel Legends figures. I actually like using the flames on this bike even more. It looks like it was made for this bike. Always fun to mix and match. Out of all my Joes, my favorite ones to place Ghost Rider next to are these two, the Range Viper, and specifically the Fireteam version, and the Red Ninja. Not only because of their dark colors and red highlights, but also because their masks line up so well. Look at how awesome that black skull helmet on the Range Viper looks. I wouldn't want to come across this team. I'm starting here with my favorite display using G.I. Joe Classified. We all know about the diabolical and evil experiments that Dr. Mindbender likes to carry out on unwilling subjects, so why not pair these two lines together and create somewhat of an alternate universe occult continuity where Ghost Rider is under the painful control of Cobra and the Doctor. What do you guys think of this setup? And here a more dynamic picture with the Red Ninja, another unholy union that looks great together in a display. Here's Ghost Rider on patrol with a unit of Range Vipers, all donning their skull masks and flanked by some Cobra Stingers. Ghost Rider can always also be part of the G.I. Joe Classified continuity, teaming up with the Joes as an interesting crossover to chase down Cobra operatives. I actually really like this display and have no problem with bringing in this element to G.I. Joe, knowing all the crazy, nightmarish, and supernatural stories that were featured in the cartoon back in the day. Now, if Ghost Rider is in fact teaming up with the Joes, you gotta have him taking on a bunch of snakes on their most heavily armored vehicle. 2 down, 2 to go. I doubt the driver will be safe for long in there. I just love the Crimson Twins on the Cobra Ferret ATVs, and I suspect they'd quite enjoy chasing down the Ghost Rider with the goal of enslaving him to do the bidding of Cobra, as seen here. By the way, if you don't have any figures of any series, you can always just grab some Halloween dollar store decorations like I did here, and make some very cool displays that can even light up. As promised, some bonus collectibles that I wanted to share with you guys, starting with my original issue number 1 Ghost Rider comic book, the one I picked up at that convenience store all those years ago, that sparked my love of Ghost Rider and then took me down a long journey of comic book and related figures collecting. I also found this poster book I purchased at the time, which contained a ton of awesome posters which I never tore out and are still attached to this day. As you can see here, there were actually Red Ninja that the Ghost Rider fought, so when I said there are some great ways to have a G.I. Joe Ghost Rider crossover with the various lines, I wasn't kidding. I've included a few other posters here, but if you guys are interested in seeing more of these posters and other Ghost Rider collectibles and comics I have, let me know and perhaps I'll do a bonus episode on those for fun. I really do love sharing out our collection with you guys and have tons of stuff from the 90s Marvel and Spawn lines as well, plus much more original Joes and Transformers. Just let me know in the comments section. As we wrap up this episode 41 of Heroic Nonsense, let's take a quick look at the box. Reminds me a lot of the latest G.I. Joe classified packaging, which I'm getting used to, especially as it relates to the smaller sets like these that come with vehicles. It's unfortunate though that for those of us who like collecting packaging, that once the figure is out, there isn't much left to the front panel. Love this completely iconic and beautifully created picture of Ghost Rider. I'd love to have a bigger version of this. If it was created for this packaging, it was severely underused. Nice back of pack as well with a bit of this Ghost Rider story, showcases the set nicely. And the other side panel, not much to write home about. Alright, we've escaped the clutches of Ghost Rider's penance there and are free to explore some more toys for next time. Have a lot we got in and that is coming in, so I have to figure out what to do next. In the meantime, let me know how you like this special bonus spotlight in the comments section, and if you have any other cool ideas for G.I. Joe Ghost Rider team-ups that I may have overlooked. See you all next time, and remember, it's all such heroic nonsense in the end.
Dragon!